Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. And happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. $250. That's pretty cool. I mean, just to, be here, be at 250. It's only going to happen once. So I hope you enjoyed it. Work-wise, today, if you're in the last video, if you watched the last video, you saw what Dad and I went and got on Thursday. Which is our new to us, definitely not new, but new to us, 10-foot Brilliant cedar. It's in solid shape. It's got a few things I need to get worked on, but overall it's in pretty solid shape. It needs a few adjustments. We got plenty of room here. I'll pick those two up later and stash them up there. So essentially we got corn stalks and a couple bales of straw, 2024 hay. There is a little 2025 hay, but that's that really old first crop from last year. And then we got big bucket, manure bucket, rock bucket. So buckets we don't use a whole lot, we stash for the summer. So now we'll put the small material bucket on because we're going to try and get that cedar off the trailer and then unhook the trailer so I can have my truck back. Pull it out? Yeah. Okay. We're lifting it just right at the top of the tongue there, and it's actually kind of nice because the hitch is up underneath and right up against that little tube that sticks down, so it's not swinging all over the place. We're just gonna set this guy up here and do whatever we want with it in here. Oh, that's balanced really easy. I mean, Hunter could do this. Yeah, that is actually balanced ridiculously easy. I was even thinking, why don't we put a stand on there, but I don't know if you need it. Probably would be nice still if you were one person, but we do have to put the little tongue hitch on. We took that off. Funny, we laughed about it. So there's a pile of coon crap on here. It lasted all the way down there, all the way back, through a couple of rain showers. Never came off. We had to chuckle about that when we got back. Because we both said, oh, we'll get on the road, that'll fly right off. Nope. All right, let's go park this guy where he belongs. We'll find him a nice home for the summer. I don't know, whenever we use him next, I guess. All right, got that put away. It's in a nice spot, right? Out of the way. Because we can get, yeah, those first 3 stalk bales are perpendicular to the fence, so we can get those out pretty easily. All right, looks like we solved our problem. So this is the guy that we pulled and checked the bearing, which the bearing seemed solid. There was no issue with the bearing. But the other thing that we checked out, and I'll show you in a minute, is that little nut to hold these things on here that allows it to have that little bit of play and swivel and stuff. We found the issue with that thing. But this is back on. We spun it, we ran it, put it up to RPM, and there's no ticking. So that's awesome. So this guy, and this is actually, I don't even know if this one's actually ever been used before. This guy. This is kind of what they look like. You know, they're full of garbage and that threaded hole goes all the way through. So this inserts into the turtle. These flat edges prevent this from spinning, just getting sucked up in there. And then around here, is what allows this knife to pivot, swing, get knocked out of the way if it hits a rock or something. But what we found out is that the couple of threads right at the end were preventing the bolt to getting sucked all the way up and being flush with here. Not drawing that nut all the way in there, allowing the knife to sag just a little bit, and it was ticking. So these things are tapered to help create lift on the grass. So then naturally, if it's creating lift on the grass, it's pushing down on the blade. Well, it was ticking on the frame, and that's what was creating the rattle. So the higher RPM you were going, the louder the tick. Lower RPM, lower the tick. So we knew it had to be something with the pod, and just bringing it up that 1/16 of an inch, if even just a 30-second, must have been it. Just brings it up and then flattens that out a little bit more and doesn't prevent it from going down as much. All right, so this field, we got like 1.5 acres here and then like 5.5 acres over here. Some of this field's got some really nice stuff. There's a couple of little patches in here that are just notoriously wet, so it's not really great. That sounds way better already. And this field is pretty nice because all the Timothy came in. So we'll just follow along with Dad for a little bit. So overall, this field looks pretty decent, but there are some wet spots in here, so it's got a little bit of that like swamp grass, maybe, you know, like this stuff. They do not like this stuff. So hopefully you get in enough Timothy, and there's reed canary in here. So overall, it looks pretty decent. A little bit of red clover. This could definitely use like a little spruce up with some white clover. Just definitely like the white clover over the red. Red's kind of cyclical, I guess you could say. Like it goes about 3 years and then just kind of disappears, like fades out after a couple of years. You really want the white. The white will keep coming back. So Dad's actually coming back. Hopefully that's a good thing and that he's done. I've just been waiting a few minutes to let my filters dry out. All right, so this is dry and this is dry. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a light oil spray on the outside of this, and then I'm going to do a spray here and then a spray on the bottom, essentially just to seal that. So basically the whole outside will get coated, and then I'll take that and stick it on the framework. Some will do the same to this guy. Maybe just a little heavier. After you get that on, I kind of pull on this gray to kind of fluff it up a little bit to make sure we got this whole surface area. And then I'll actually reapply a little bit. Yeah, that's enough, because that's just going to act as your seal on the bottom. Put that guy down and just firm press. Pretty easy finding the spot, and just screw this down. And we're all set. Summertime's the best time to clean this out anyways, because we're going to spend the rest of the summer with a lot of dust and chaff and all that stuff, so you want a good clean air filter. So pretty simple. You actually spend more time waiting for the thing to dry out than you do actually cleaning it. We did find out that our other hose does leak, if I didn't mention that earlier. So tomorrow we're going to be kind of back to regular scheduled programming. I mean, so is today, but we had a little slower start. It's a holiday. A little slower start. Got some stuff done. But we are ending a tickle early because we're going to do some brats and burgers and stuff at Mom and Dad's. So have a little fun there, and then see what we do this evening. Good morning. All right. Sunday morning. Getting her going. Day after the 4th of July. So hope everybody enjoyed yesterday. And honestly, let's face it, everybody's going to keep that rolling tonight. I bet you there'll still be some more fireworks going on tonight. I think while Dad's cutting, I'm probably going to haul bales. Get some bales, which means I'm probably going to put the back spike on. And I've thought about that the last couple times I've done bales by myself. Is like, Chris, why don't you get the back spike on? Because then that's like, sometimes you get two bales that are right next to each other, but you're 50 yards from the wagon. So, you know, similar to what I did moving the bales over in the yard, you know, kind of do something similar to that. And I think the tongues on the wagons are long enough, I'm not going to have any issues there. All right, we got the 3-point spike on. I got just a little bit more angle on that spike. All right, so we made it up here. Again, this is the hill with a view. So the farm is actually just down the hill right over here. But this field definitely has a lot more alfalfa. It's an alfalfa orchard mix. Not a lot of clover in here, mostly alfalfa. Ground up here on the top, it is very rocky, but it's a lot heavier soil. It'll stay in alfalfa a lot nicer than it does down on the bottom back at home, because by us it's very, very sandy. Up here there's a little sand, but you turn this over, it's actually dark. So And then there's a lot of Timothy in here too, which all the Timothy has come in a little bit more in clumps, but the variety is good. So, and then after this chunk, then we had kitty corner over to that one. All right, let's go pick up some bales. All right, we are hooked up. I will have to be just a little bit cautious with the spike on. Like, that was not good. Going into dips, I think I almost just, cause like I'm over the tires and I'm only about 5 inches from the main pole. So going through a little dip as it transitioned, that spike actually, it actually touched one of the tires. So I gotta be a little cautious of that. All right, the other pole is literally 8 inches longer. So we're gonna make the switch, because I'm just gonna get myself in trouble and actually break something. Probably should have grabbed the hitch pin, because now I'm sitting here being really cautious and watching it to make sure it doesn't fall off. But yeah, then I'd probably will most likely be able to clear the tires completely, even if I do dip down and swing back and forth. All right, this is only gonna come back about 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches, and I'm not even gonna be at the tires. Much better. All right, we're gonna start out with the two that actually are gonna make perfect sense for having this back spike on, because these two ended up way on this end of the field. Everything else is on this end of the field. So we'll grab these two and only have to make one trip. So this field hit right on the average. I think it was 8 bales. Yeah, hit right on the average, 7 to 8 bales. We're gonna go unload these first, and then I'm just gonna take one wagon. Getting 2 wagons into the field next to us, you're kind of threading the needle, and it's like, I don't need it. I could probably pick up those and across the road on one wagon. So I think we're gonna try that. Or we might just do them in 2 separate trips. But again, I only need one wagon. We made it down to the pit field. I got both wagons this time, and I think if I stack it right, I can take everything with me. have to carry one on the spike. I don't want to carry one on the back spike just because I can't go very far. It's still just not set up quite right. I need a shorter top link. This one looks like, I don't know what the heck landed on it, or maybe it was deer or whatever, but the net wrap got kind of tore up on there. All right, so we reset. We were about 50 yards over that way. A little bit better concentration over here for a second go around. I should be able to pick the rest of them up from here. All right, so I know I haven't shown any of our crops, but let's take a look. As long as we're in the field right next to the corn. So the old adage of knee high by the fourth, well, I think we got her. You know, we're at like thigh high. I mean, here's the middle of my thigh. So this stuff's a little nicer. I would say the average is maybe just a little bit shorter, like here, which is like right at my knee. You know, I mean, I'm not stretching anything out. But I think when we top dressed it, well, was it early last week? Definitely was good timing. That was a good call for Dad to have this top dressed a little early. We talked about it, and I was like, well, it's not gonna hurt nothing. And we probably lost a lot of that fertilizer because we planted this right after that hailstorm. It was like, well, we had the hailstorm on a Wednesday, and then we planted this on Friday, that Friday, and then the following week, I think is the week we got like 3 inches of rain. So probably, especially in the sandy soil, probably washed away a lot of the fertilizer we had in it. So this stuff was just not taking off like we normally expect it to. But it's, and then with the heat and humidity the last week, this stuff's really taken off. The stuff behind Mom and Dad's, it's better than it was, definitely better than it was. It might be right at knee high, or just a little bit below. Well, we got 3 more bales to get, but I need a double stack right there. Because I can carry one on the spike, not a big deal, but then I would have had 1 extra bale. And I don't want to come back down here for 1 extra bale. I mean, so this chunk has a lot more, you know, is this smut grass or swamp grass, or, you know, it's just garbage because it's so wet back here. They don't like it. They definitely don't like it. But I am seeing a lot more timothy. I am seeing a lot more bluegrass, and we're getting spears or groupings of some reed canary. Now it's just more rotations. It's more seasons. It's, you know, especially that way, it's more bale grazing, bringing some bales out here to stretch out pastures. And the nice thing about taking note of what this looks like now, honestly, up against the fence, I don't care if like the first 10 feet's not the greatest, you know, but you know, the rest of it, it's getting better. But you see where there's areas, you know, maybe you feed a bale, you know, out in this area, you know, sometime, you know, later in the summer. Second rotation, especially third rotation, that kind of thing. Well, these guys are set and good to go. I didn't exactly go on the same line, and honestly, I got a little bit of a whoop-de-woo in there. But the corner, that far corner, they were mulling around in there. You can tell they spent a lot of time in there. It must be a dry, or must be a wetter patch in that corner. So just feels good to hang out in there. So I moved that corner over a little bit and then went a couple posts and whatever. But these guys are happy and they're good to go. Mineral is good. So these guys are set. I'm gonna go take this other temp line down. That should only take me a few more minutes, and then I need to do grain. Well, we have come to the end of yet another holiday weekend, which is hard to believe because it feels like last weekend was Memorial Weekend. Yeah, summer just, you hit like March and like you blink and you go through a month. It's crazy. These guys really haven't been eating too much grain. I only gave them 3 buckets. Normally for all of these, we've been giving them 5. The 2 heifers are in here. They're all mixed up. But the last few days, they really haven't been going at their grain as much just because of the heat and humidity. They camp out in the barn. But I think this week is supposed to be a little cooler and hopefully a little less humid. I did notice this morning, that my fly trap is definitely collecting some flies, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, we still got a fair amount of stuff done this weekend. You know, we figured out the issues, and we still have that small hydraulic hose, which it does leak. Whatever I did to it yesterday did not help at all. So Dad's gonna have to go to Napa again tomorrow and just get the same thing we got on Friday. So not a big deal. They got all that stuff. It's only 15 minutes away. But we got some hay cut, got more hay cut. But yeah, it was a good holiday weekend. I had Friday off. It was a nice long weekend. Friends and family a little bit. Just chilling, relaxing. Got a little bit of that in, and obviously got some work in. But it was a good weekend. So I hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. Hope you have a great week coming up. Hey, on your way out, smash that like button, help support the channel. If you got any questions, by all means, drop them in the comments. And definitely don't forget to subscribe. Help support us here at Ohrmundt Simmentals. And as always, thanks for coming along.